Boa noite, obrigado pela vossa presença. That's all my Portuguese, so don't expect any more than that. The idea today is to talk a bit about progressive web apps. Who is here web developer or something like that? Just to know, I won't ask you anything. Okay, that's a good number. So the recruiters should be alert. A bit about of me, I'm Leonardo Pittelli. I'm working as web tech lead in RequireLX since today, 3 months here in Lisbon, since about 2 years before in Buenos Aires. I relocated from the offices there. I'm GD for Google Developer Expert for Cloud and Web, and that's my Twitter if you want to get in touch with me, or even I will publish the slides there after the talk, so if you want to get access to them, you're free. I will start with some kind of story about the web, a bit similar to Jorge's talk, so deja vu from there. This is, if you don't know it, kind of the first web browser in the history. As you can see, it's not that different than today. Okay, yes, it is different, but we have a URL, a title, images, a document with text and links. So the basic idea is the same as Jorge was saying. The base is always HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So now the timeline that I was saying, around 94, the web started to be a thing with that fight between the two biggest browsers in that moment. In 96, JavaScript appears. It was just to add a bit of interaction into the pages, nothing more than that. Nowadays, we can't even send a form without JavaScript, something that we shouldn't be in that situation, but we are there. I don't know why, probably because of all those frameworks. Then 97 was the time for Flash. Luckily, this technology is not between us anymore, but it's the bigger milestone into the web's history. 2008 was the year for Android and Chrome, so we started to have the chance to be there in the mobile devices of our users, and the web started to be in everywhere, not only in our desktop or house computers. 2014 was the year when the HTML5 standard was finally launched. It took a lot of time to get there, but it started to give us some access to the camera or the geolocation of the user, so the web started to be more than those images and links that we saw at the beginning. The same year was when PWAs became a term. Progressive web apps became to be called like that. The idea behind them, if you don't know, you don't know it, is to give the web or close the gap between the web and the native apps. And there's a lot of things that the web cannot do even today. But the idea behind this kind of websites is to close that gap. And finally, just to mention, in 2015 was the year when the new standard of ECMAScript, the base of JavaScript, was launched. If you see, there was like a big gap between when it appeared and when the ECMAScript 6 standard was there. But in the meantime, it had some updates, but it became to be more important just on the last years. So again, we will talk today about progressive web apps and what the web can do. Progressive web apps have 3 basic pillars. The first one is that they are, or they should be, reliable. This screenshot is from The Guardian. I took it probably some years ago. I don't know if it's still there, but it's a nice feature that they implemented. When you get offline, instead of seeing this dinosaur, you see this crossword. So you stay in the page, you can play, imagine in the subway, this crossword, and when you get connected again, you can finally read the news that you were going to read. Engaging, there are some tools to build web's more engagement. With this simple JSON file, we can have something like this, an icon in the home screen of our users, and with that the option to launch our web in a full screen way, more similar to a native app. And with that, we also have this kind of integration, deeply integration with the phone, seeing our web inside or between the other native apps, and also as between the configuration menu. This JSON file is not all what we need, but with this JSON file, we can see a push notification like this one. This feature is a bit more complicated to implement. We need to use some APIs of the browser, but the idea is that we now can have push notifications to make our webs more engaging. And finally, the third pillar of progressive web apps is that they should be fast. For this, we don't have any tool. This is up to us to implement a web that is performant and it's fast as it should be. I really like this 404 page from PureShot. And plus all that things, we have some other web benefits over the native apps. They are always up to date because when the user can download a fresh copy of our web without the need to update it through App Store. They don't need to be installed. You can use them without being installed because the web is like this. It's only a URL. And because of that, they are also easy to share. I can send you, any of you, a link, and you will be able to start using my PWA without the need to install anything. I really like this report. They do this every year. These results are from this year. This is how the mobile minutes are split for the users. As you can see, the users spend most of the time using native applications and only a fraction of their time using the web. So you could say to me, okay, why should I build a progressive web app? Why should I care about a web if the user don't finally use them? This other chart is from the same report, and here we can see that only 32% of the users say that they install new apps every, I don't know if it is for years or for months, but you can see that 9% only installs one app, near 8% install two apps, and that goes down when the number of apps get bigger. So if we see this through the years, from the 2017 report, only 51% was saying that didn't install any app, and this year this went up to 75. So the number of users that are installing apps is each day fewer. And with this, and the first chart of the minutes that the people spend into the native applications, what we can see is that the people uses a lot or spend a lot of time into native apps, but always into the same native applications, probably a social network, probably a service for doing messages or send messages. Any game and that kind of application, always the same, but they use them a lot. So probably for a new product would be great to build a web instead of an application. But again, what should we do with that gap between the features and the things that we can do with web application, we can't do into web and we can do into native apps? Anyone knows what is this logo?
A fish?
Yes, this is a fish, but for what? No one?
BSD.
What?
BSD. Open BSD.
No. This is called Project Fugu. The idea behind this project is to close the gap between the mobile and the web and the mobile native apps. They call it that way. Probably you should know because here in Portugal you eat a lot of fish.